So, good morning, at least good morning here. As a young landscape designer for General Landscape Solutions, I happen to have been going through my YouTube and I came across a video titled How to Design the Perfect Landscape, the Landscape Design 101. It's from Lowe's Home Improvement and it's on their YouTube channel. It came out several years ago. It's the first time it comes across my YouTube, but then I wanted to take a look and see how it applies to my experience. I don't know everything, obviously, but I wanted to understand maybe how right it could be. All right, Lowe's, let's play it.
Has designing the perfect yard got you stumped? We'll show you some tips to help you develop a landscape.
So that's funny because they start saying if it's got you stumped. I don't know how many people know the terminology, the verbiage in landscape, but stump is obviously what's left after you cut down a tree. So that's funny.
Plan to make your property the talk of the neighborhood. A good starting point is to draw a plan of your yard. Keep it basic, but include things that will remain part of your landscape, like a tall tree. Make several copies.
So first off, the placement of these trees are strange. I don't know if he's going to keep these trees in the design, but some things that he's already said. The use of a sketch is important when applying it, especially if you are going through the thought process. For example, if you could sketch out your house or your yard, and then you kind of think of what you like, and then you go through that, maybe several weeks or months in, depends on how long you plan your project. But if you could plan it out as time progresses, because you might find a neighbor or a new community that you drove through has a nice layout that you want to take into account. You're going to want to change the idea. So having it sketched up somewhere, somehow, is important, because then you won't forget something that you already liked. I like that.
Use tracing paper as you add elements to the design. On your plan, note key features of your existing landscape, like hills, which areas get sun, and which get shade. Any privacy issues? Next, think about...
All right, so it's definitely important to know shade and sun, because some trees are not going to do well in pure sun. Others are going to do really bad in pure shade. So that's an important factor. Hills, it's cool to know, but that's more of a looking at it kind of thing. I don't know if you're going to want to put it on your plan, but when you look at it, you're going to know, like, this is what I want here. I would just put those plants in the plan, not including a hill.
Goals. Do you want a place for dinner parties with friends? Need an area for kids and pets to play? Or maybe just a tranquil spot to read a book on a summer day? How about a garden? Make your wish list of current and future goals. Now,
so that's definitely important. You have to know what you're doing in terms of around the yard, like the practical use of it. Another thing that he didn't mention is the inside of the house. Sometimes if you have a window, for example, and that's the kitchen, or if it's the dining room table, like that's gonna be a view. Sometimes it's the bedroom, sometimes it's just a bathroom. Oftentimes you wanna know what's inside the house to then make a design, adequate for whatever you're looking at from the inside. But goals are definitely important to understand.
Adding your goals to the plan. One way to start is to work big to small, adding the largest items to the plan first, such as a patio, deck, or pergola. Then fill in around them. Of course, keep in mind your budget and short-term goals. Just as you have a style when decorating your home's interior, use style outdoors to keep the entire property cohesive. Look to your house exterior for design inspiration. A traditional house works well with a variety of landscape plans, while a modern dwelling does best with clean lines and simple plantings such as ornamental grasses. Now let's talk about some different ideas for your plan.
So that's a point to mention. Some houses are designed and then you can kind of know what's going to go in it. For example, a house could kind of have a flow to it, or like an entryway. Like, for example, sometimes a driveway could be the center point. Sometimes it's driveways are on the side of the house and you just want to focus on the front. So sometimes look at the house, specifically the house, and then that'll lead you to what the design should be, the landscape design. And it also tell you what plants to put. The house is a big deal.
Plants are definitely one of the most important parts of your landscape and one of the easiest ways to define a new look. Beds with clean lines define areas and points of interest, while curves tend to look more natural. Again, think of using plants as you would decorate your house. Pick just a few colors that work together, or at least avoid lots of variation in small areas. But feel free to mix up texture and size. Layer the heights in your beds, tallest in the back, smallest up front. Keep in mind how tall the plant will be when it's mature so it doesn't grow to block a window.
That's important. Sometimes people just put plants because they like the way it looks now, which is an often problem with landscape architects. I don't want to step on any toes, but what I've noticed from installing landscape architect plans, because we install plans from other landscape architects, is that it looks pretty good like when you install it, but then like years later it's just like a bunch of trees on top of each other, and then it didn't work out like the way it was intended to long term. But yeah, plants often grow really tall. Like if you put a royal palm next to your house, know that it's going to get really tall. So if you have a 1-story house and you put like 2 royal palms framing it, or framing the entrance, like it's going to surpass your house by 4 or 5 times.
Here's a tip. When selecting plants, know that perennials grow back every season, while annuals will need to be planted each year. Another tip, plantings tend to look best when they're in odd numbers. Now, along the house, consider using a bush or wider plant.
That's true, by the way. Pro tip, do things in clusters of 3s and 5s. Odd numbers, for some reason, is like the go-to in design. It just feels right in landscape design. I was taught that too. I was very linear, very symmetrical when I started, and I didn't like that, but it does prove effective. Do things in odd numbers, 3s, 5s, 7s.
To soften the corners. However, keep large plants a few feet from the foundation to prevent damage from roots.
Oh, big deal. Trees, big trees like oaks that spread heavy roots. Try to keep those away from driveways, sidewalks, foundations. Ficus, for some reason, the hedge or the plant ficus, I have seen go into a homeowner's sewer line and it came out their toilet, the root system, a root. Obviously through years and years, but yeah, I ended up placing clusia instead for a hedge.
If privacy is a priority, consider planting hedges as a fence, or build a traditional fence. Different styles are available to fit your preference. Just check your local codes before you install. If your property has a hill, planting on the slope is a possibility. Or you can use small retaining walls of various levels to define different points of interest. Next,
for layers for hills, it is important to have dimension. Putting walls though, or bricks, whatever you want to put, does get expensive fast versus just laying out mulch kind of with an elevating bed.
Think about pathways to get to the different points of interest in your yard. Solid concrete or pavers are more formal and offer defined direction. Crushed gravel is a softer alternative, and stepping stones give a natural feel to the land. Just be sure to space them as someone would step, and use a landing every few stones to create an opportunity to stop and enjoy the view. A great way to add tranquility and a touch of nature is by adding a water feature. A small pond installation not only looks nice, it is perfect for plants and fish. To add relaxing sounds and help mask noise, try a fountain. A statue or tabletop fountain is a nice option for small spaces.
Water fountains are actually really effective when you're sitting outside in your yard and you're just like looking at the landscape. To have that background noise, I think it would be white noise, is something that you don't really know you want until you have it, and then you realize like, I'm so glad I bought that fountain. And sometimes you can make it a centerpiece too, which adds a little bit of definition to the landscape.
As your landscape comes together, consider highlighting the different areas with landscape lighting. Uplights or spotlights for trees, floodlights for beds, and path lights illuminate a landscape for nighttime enjoyment. Of course, these design principles can be used in your backyard, but also your front yard and your side yard. However, keep maintenance in mind and how much
Oh yeah, maintenance is probably the most important part, believe it or not, because once everything is nice, even if you install a beautiful landscape design, if you don't keep up with maintenance, forget all the investment you just made. Trees are gonna grow on top of each other. It won't look like it did when you installed it. It's maintenance also depends on the plants. Like I know people want low maintenance, but that's a lot harder to accomplish than you'd think, because even low maintenance plants you have to trim, right? Which is probably the easiest thing. If you put a trimmer at it, like or just pick up the fronds, that's probably the easiest, yet that requires some maintenance. But take that into account for sure.
You'll want to spend taking care of your yard. Now that you have your plan ready, head into your local Lowe's to find out which plants and flowers grow best in your area.
Now, overall, I think that Lowe's made a pretty good video for somebody that doesn't know anything. That's really good, like, strategy to follow. Obviously, you live and you learn, so you probably will do something wrong and then you'll figure it out and not do it again. Overall, I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked that video too. I'm proud of Lowe's for doing it, and I'll probably be looking out for some more videos to comment and share my thoughts on. So thanks for watching.